Get ready for an epic crossover like never before. Join us as we explore what if Deku became Spider-Midoriya in part 1 of this thrilling series. Witness the birth of a new kind of hero in a world where quirks collide. Let's swing into action. The sacrifice of Miles Morales inspired all the surviving Spider-Men after the attack by the Spot and the Prowler, where the Society's headquarters was destroyed, causing the deaths of hundreds of members. The sacrifice of that boy, whom Miguel O'Hara never trusted and never would, who caused Peter Parker's death, would be the first domino to fall, leading to the resurrection of Peter Parker by the life web. A month had passed since then. And now, the survivors were in the control room. They still looked at Miguel with resentment, and he knew he couldn't blame them. Nevertheless, he decided to focus on why the majority of survivors were there. A new universe has emerged, Miguel said seriously. What's it called, and what do you want to do? Asked Penny Parker. This universe seems to focus on Japan, Miguel specified before explaining everything else. Are you sure we're not looking at Earth 2301? Peter, Earth 1610, asked, frowning and still very hurt by Miles's death. Positive, Peter. In this universe, 80% of humans have a genetic mutation where they have an extra phalanx on their pinky fingers, giving them superpowers. The other 20% lack powers. What do you want us to do? Asked Spider-Punk, interlocking his hands and placing them in front of his face. According to the data I'm receiving, a girl named Midoriya Jin will receive spider powers, Miguel said. Everyone nodded, it made sense. Miguel gestured in the air before him, and a screen showed a girl with green hair and eyes. She's a survivor spider from Earth 50101, and I need someone to voluntarily sacrifice their life in her original Earth and guide this girl. Me, Spider-Gwen and Peter 1610 said simultaneously, looking at each other and smiling. We can train the girl together. If the sacrifice were just moving, then I think even I would do it, Miguel said, but neither of them backed down, waiting for Miguel to continue. The plan is to be reborn, and when she's born, foreigners, whether they're professional heroes or adults, understand? We understand, Peter 1610 and Spider-Gwen assured him. Being figures of authority, from a certain point of view, Peter said. And guide her on how to be a spider-sona. Good. And thank you, Miguel said, smiling kindly as he opened a portal, and both were teleported to Earth 2014. Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy were reborn as children of American immigrants, escaping the Second Great Depression, followed by the Israel-American War. Reasons more than enough to flee the country. They always retained their powers, but when they turned 15, they enrolled in UA Academy, Japan's best hero academy, becoming heroes under the leadership of Hero Snipe in Department of Heroes, Salon 1B. From Salon 1B to 2B. And after graduating, after 3 tough years, they became professionals, Spider Ninja, being a partner of Gunhead and Spider-Gwen, being a partner of Ms. Joke. After becoming independent and making a name for themselves on the streets, they focused on finding more information about the spider or the person who was supposed to be bitten, as they felt time was running out. The information was provided by Spider Noir and Spider Psychologist. Spider Psychologist, it's a girl named Midoriya Jin, she will live in an apartment complex called Odayakana Suiki, Calm Waters, the spider will come from Earth 928b. Peter/Spider Ninja, 928b? Is this Miguel's plan? Spider Psychologist took a while to answer. I think Miguel feels guilty for falling out with Miles, and his way to make amends is, well, by manipulating us all and choosing the next Spider Girl from a universe where there's no Spider-Sona. Peter/Spider Ninja, are you sure there's no Spider-Sona? 100% sure? Spider Psychologist, Spider Physicist and Spider Philosopher made it very clear. Peter/Spider Ninja, Jin, I looked up the name on Google, it means tenderness/kindness. Spider Noir, ask 2099 to let us know when the modified spider will arrive and how he'll make sure it bites this girl Jin. I know you just resurrected and all that, but he went crazy when the boy, Miles, became a Spider-Man and blamed him for your death. Peter/Spider Ninja, okay, I'll talk to Miguel. Miguel O'Hara took a while to respond to Peter, but he preferred not to have any more problems with the TOO, irritable leader of the Spider Society. Peter/Spider Ninja, hey Miguel. Some colleagues said your plan is to modify a spider and send it to this Earth, is that right? Miguel 2099, the spider is native to Earth 2014, don't worry, Peter, I just took it to modify it, and then I'll return it to its original dimension. Peter/Spider Ninja, okay, if you say so. Hey, I wanted to ask something, what powers will you give the girl? Miguel 2099, oh, you know, the basics, wall crawling, your style, not my spurs, strength from 0 to 100, increased speed, reflexes and agility, balance, regenerative factor x 150, when I tried to increase it to 200 or 230, the stupid spiders died, spider sense, night vision, organic webbing, and venom touch, that weird thing Miles had on his hands, you know. Peter/Spider Ninja, thanks, and let me know when you send the spider, please. Miguel 2099, it's been there for like 3 days. Spider Gwen, and you're just telling us now? You got too relaxed, what a shitty boss you've become, Miguel. General Hospital of Jakku. At that precise moment. You should give up, said the doctor, understanding the multiverse. N.A., if he says that to a 5-year-old girl who will never obtain a kosei, I can't imagine how he talks to smokers who have had lung cancer for 20 years, telling them it's their fault. All Might's toy fell from Midoriya Jin's hand. Why does he say that, doctor? Asked her worried mother. Is something wrong with her? The doctor nodded and pointed to the girl's x-ray. The problem lies in her bones. Only children born with a joint in their pinky finger have a chance of awakening a kosei, he explained. Your daughter has 2 joints, it's impossible for her to develop a kosei. I see, said the woman, looking at her daughter, who was in shock. You're from the 4th generation, aren't you? The doctor asked. My husband breathes fire, and I can attract small or not very heavy objects, the woman said, pulling the girl's toy towards her. The woman and her daughter left the consultation room and drove home in uncomfortable silence for the mother, who glanced at her daughter. In just a few moments, an emotionless mask had settled on her little girl's face. Do you want katsudon for dinner? She asked, unable to shake the feeling that her daughter's dreams not coming true were her fault, no matter how illogical that seemed. Yes, that would be fine, came the hollow voice that sent a shiver down Midoriya Inko's spine. The girl went to her room and randomly read a storybook, had lunch and dinner with her mother, while Inko grew increasingly worried. The next morning, Jin was helping her mother clear weeds from the garden, dig holes in the earth, and plant new flowers and plants when she felt something, causing her to scream. Jin-chan, what happened? Her mother asked. I got stung, Jin cried with tears in her eyes, looking at her hand where there was a small welt and 2 tiny purple dots. In seconds, the girl felt dizzy, the world around her blurred, everything spun, she paled in seconds, and her eyelids began to close. Jin-chan. Her mother screamed as the girl faded to black. The change took place overnight, not immediately. The girl woke up in a hospital room. What happened to me? She asked, looking around. Am I in the hospital? It's good that you've woken up, Midoriya-chan, said a nurse, reaching for a walkie-talkie. Dr. Okiwa, your patient just woke up. She put away the transmitter and spoke to the girl, handing her a tray of cereal and akumis. Something attacked you in your home garden. We believe it was a poisonous spider. You passed out, and while we were studying and treating you, extracting the venom, we discovered that your kosei has awakened. The girl with emerald hair looked amazed at the doctor. My kosei? That's right, young lady, said a man in his 40s, with short but messy brown hair, a beard, and a mustache, though the beard extended from his sideburns. He wasn't dressed like a doctor. I'm Dr. Teitaku. It's been a year since you were named Mukasei, right? The girl nodded, and the doctor continued speaking. Well, we believe that your body needed to be ready, in some way, perhaps a change in your outlook on life, due to believing you were Mukasei, to manifest your kosei. It's quite curious, you know? On your wrists, you'll find something like a white crust, which will allow you to release a kind of sticky mass. Your fingers have developed a strange type of magnetic field, causing objects to stick to them. Although you're only 5 years old, your body is at the level of an athlete, even if it doesn't look like it. How do I use that sticky mass? Jin asked. By pressing with your middle and ring fingers right here, the doctor pointed, on the bones of Big and Hooky, where spinning glands have developed, like spiders. Jin comically widened her eyes. This will release these curious, let's call them, webs, which will be shot through these tiny organs called spinnerets, near the palmar face of the wrists. The central one releases the adhesive strands and vines to move around, and the rest emit other types, each with its own secretory gland. Middle and ring fingers, Jin repeated, looking at her hand with curiosity, touching the exact spot with her fingers, resulting in a web sticking to her face. After removing it, Inko entered the room, hugging her daughter. The hospital's kosei experts ran several tests on the girl and explained how to swing with the web, teaching her new ability to climb walls with her fingertips. She showed physical strength. She was more agile, flexible, and could lift up to 100 times her weight. When night fell, she told her mother she could see as if it were daytime, like an owl. Inko couldn't be more excited for her daughter, who was one step closer to fulfilling her dream. A week had passed since Jin received her spider powers, and now the green-haired girl with jade eyes stood alongside her mother, facing 3 individuals. 3 heroes. One of them wore a suit with a red armored chest and a white spider, his armor's arms and legs were gray, and he carried a katana on his back. He called himself Spider Ninja. The second was a woman with a white mask, eyes identical to Spider Ninja's, and pink lenses, wearing a white kimono with gray armor starting from her chest and ending at her abdomen, wrist guards from which her katanas emerged, and dark gray pants. She went by the name Spider-Gwen. And the third was the leader. He had a blue mask with red lenses, a blue suit with a red skull on his chest turning into a spider, a red cape, and bracelets on his wrists and halfway up his arms, from which red blades emerged. He called himself Spider 2099. Both Inko and her daughter Jin knew Spider Ninja and Spider-Gwen, they were well-known heroes. But this Spider 2099 figure was unknown. And it would be Spider 2099 who would speak up. Mrs. Midoriya, Midoriya-chan, the reason the 3 of us are here is to teach the young one how to use her spider powers. We come from something called the Spider Society, where all spider-sonas gather to meet, chat, and train because the source of our powers, the web of life, is much more present there. And this source of arachnid powers does much more than just allow us to have them. We can see all dimensions and... Spider 2099 settled into his seat. When one of ours sacrificed himself to defeat 2 dangerous enemies, the web revived Spider Ninja while showing us the existence of a new universe, which is yours. But there was something curious, there was no spider-sona here. So I realized that it didn't exist because we would have to find someone worthy of carrying these powers. I saw your daughter's life, how much she wants to help people, how much she wants to be a heroine, so I chose her to have these powers. I sent the spider that stung you and granted you your powers. Inko nodded, understanding all this, trying to ignore her daughter, whose tender eyes shone, looking at the heroes. So, does Jin-chan's training start now? Yes, said all 3, pleased with the woman. And to prove that we don't intend to harm your daughter in any way, we want you to accompany us to Earth 928, Spider-Man 2099 said as he manipulated his watch and activated it, creating a tube of orange energy. Ladies first. Ha ha, very funny, said Spider-Gwen as she leapt with Mrs. Midoriya, and Spider Ninja took Jin with him. Spider Society. New York/Earth 928. Soon, they were standing on an elevator, and through the windows, they saw buildings upside down. It was them who were upside down until the doors opened, and they were right side up again, seeing thousands of Spider-Man variants. This is amazing, Jin said excitedly, looking at the hundreds of variants: Spider Cowboy, Black-suited Spider-Man, Scarlet Spider. Penny Parker was inside SP/Drive. This is the reception, dear, said 2099. I'm the leader of the society. Ever since the Cosmic Spider-Man's passing, I took on the mantle of leader. Thing number 1, I'll take you to the hotel. Spider Trainer's gym is next door, so you can't miss it. He looked at the Midoriyas and explained, I want to see how you perform, and in about a month or so. And I repeat, about a month or so, we'll be taking you to Spider Tailor. Many of these Spider-Men are part-time, explained one who was arriving. On the red mask's head with the web motif, there were 9 points, the shoulders and arms were red, the torso resembled the English flag, he wore a sleeveless black jacket and had a guitar on his back. Some are prepared for when disasters strike. Hello, I'm Spider-Punk. The man delicately ushered the mother and daughter aside as another Spider-Man appeared. He wore a cowboy hat, a red bandana with a web motif, a blue poncho with a white spider, a cowboy shirt, brown pants, and a pair of revolvers in holsters. His horse wore a mask. Stepping aside didn't prevent the mare from licking Inko's face. Hi, I'm Web Slinger, and this is my mare, Widow. We're from Earth 31913. Don't worry, ma'am, dear, my revolvers only shoot web cartridges to restrain my enemies, not bullets to kill. The cowboy Spider-Man explained, calming Inko and making Ino smile. Stay away from the guy in the red mask, black lenses, red torso, and the rest of the black suit, Superior Spider-Man, stay away from that guy. Thank you, said the group as they continued walking. They entered a new elevator and went up several floors until they emerged into what seemed to be just another neighborhood. Except that it literally floated in the air. 2099 began tapping his forearm and displayed an orange hologram of a decagon. Miles. He called it the Spider-Verse. Pay attention, there are things that happen to all Spider-Men. Several scenes appeared: Spider-Men at graves, Spider-Men at weddings, Spider-Men fighting an enemy and watching them die, Spider-Men winning the lottery, etc. A close family member dies, or a police chief we're close to. We have romances and breakups. Weddings, families, or sometimes, we're completely alone, we save one life and 10 people die. All these moments, which happen to all Spider-Men, the losses of loved ones, civilian casualties, being unable to save an enemy's life, or gains in money, love, emotional stability, or instability, are what shape a Spider-Man. They are canonical events. Canonical events are key moments that unite and sustain our lives. But connections can be broken, anomalies are created. When you avoid this, you can, literally, destroy the entire reality. And a new hologram appeared: there was a Spider-Man saving a child, and then everything was destroyed. Breaking the canon, saving the wrong captains of police, saving the wrong life, and everything that exists will come crashing down. This is terrible, Inko said, stepping back and covering her mouth. I don't want you to think you're a replacement, Jin, Spider-Man 2099 said. But a boy taught me that destiny isn't set in stone. I taught him the same thing. He saved his father's life, a police captain, faced the entire Spider-Man society, changed fate, and lived for many months afterward, without everything falling apart. That's how I founded the Spider-Man Council. The boy died, sacrificed himself, took down our two enemies, and after that, the Spider-Man you admire every day, on your own Earth, came back to life. Seeing him alive, I didn't know what to think, but when I saw your Earth appear like never before, I acted. I turned you into Spider-Girl, and I'll make sure you live a happy life with as few losses as possible. POV Midoriya Jin. We went to lunch. Miguel took my mom and me to our room in the most luxurious hotel in his Earth, not far from the base. He gave us a dinner reservation, and after lunch, he took us to a pool and showed me he wasn't a bitter man. He played video games with me and also with Spider Samurai. I met Spider-Noir and solved Rubik's Cubes with him. I went to bed, and the next morning, my mom entered the hotel room with 2 cell phones, one for each of us. Mine had a group of text messages called Jin's Coaches. I dressed in a white t-shirt, a jacket, and sweatpants, went to find the place they told me about, and couldn't believe it when I saw it. Did they expect me to believe I would train in a mundane gym? Turns out that's exactly what it would be. I ran on a treadmill, lifted heavy weights, did push-ups with kettlebells on my back, swam in an Olympic-sized pool, and finally started learning to climb walls with Spider Samurai. Spider-Man 2099 taught me how to disarm opponents with organic webbing. I could snatch a gun from my enemy's hand or block the gun barrel or even stick their hand to the wall. He taught me how to swing from walls. Spider-Man, Paviter Prabhakar, from Earth 50101, at least taught me the basic moves of Krav Maga martial arts and explained how to stick to a wall. He taught me not to fear climbing up or down the wall, with the interatomic connection forming on my fingers, allowing me to climb walls. Consciously or unconsciously, they all taught me parkour. Thanks to some arachnid power inhibiting bracelets, they took away my powers and taught me, through tears, bruises, slips, fractures, not to depend on powers at all times and to deal with problems by myself, in case for some reason, I could lose my powers. Miguel gave me web shooters identical to his own, meaning they looked like they were made of light, and took me to Earth 616 Spider-Man, Peter B. Parker, and his daughter Mayday Parker, who taught me to properly use the web shooters. Spider Samurai, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Noir, Peter B. Parker, his teenage daughter Mayday, and Miguel would suddenly appear with Nerf guns for me to develop and be aware of my spider sense. I had to disarm them and fight them hand to hand, almost every afternoon. Sometimes, we fought in the dark so I could awaken my night vision, but it wasn't an owl-like night vision, but something more natural for a human being, for a Mukasei, slightly enhanced, thanks to the arachnid factor in my DNA. I specifically fought against Man-Spider, a Peter Parker whose spider DNA merged with an inactive Gen X, turning him into a monstrous mutant spider. Alongside him, a Peter Parker who survived a battle against a vampire named Morlun, acquiring some of his powers. One evening, during dinner, after an exhaustive training session where my mother and I were dining with Miguel, he spoke. I want to apologize to you, personally, Inko-san. I'm very sorry if I'm starting to act uncomfortably, for you, and paternal towards Jin. But she reminds me a lot of my daughter. And I think the same goes for many of us here, because some are parents, but not all of their children are spider-sonas. But for Inko, none of this was a problem. She focused on eating the food in front of her. You don't always have someone to advise you on your kosei, and those who want to be heroes wait until they're 15 years old to enter, hopefully, the hero department of an academy, where a single teacher, or sometimes two, have to teach more than 20 students, with completely different koseis how to use them. I liked the training, and I had to resist screaming when the next morning, Miguel guided me to the spider tailor shop, who took my measurements and asked me about my 5 favorite things. Through the door came Gwen Stacy Earth 65, Jessica Drew Earth 616, Cindy Moon from Earth 616, Julia Carpenter from Earth 616b, where she didn't become Madam Web or cut her connection with the web of life and destiny, May Parker from Earth 982, and Ashley Barton from Earth 807,128. Ladies, I called you here because it's time for our youngest member, Jin Midoriya, to choose the design she wants for her spider hero costume, color, and spider design, Miguel explained, making me nervous. I wanted something poetic, so I chose a kind of 19th century widow's dress, and Spider-Gwen made sure not to remember her fight against a guy named Vulture. I asked for a gray mask with white eyes, a black 19th century dress, black lycra pants, and a white tie. They made the final touches to my style. The dress on top was made of a metal called vibranium, with bracelets made of another metal called adamantium, able to release blades from the bracelets with a simple command. The girls wanted me to adopt the name The Widow, but seeing how creepy my suit turned out, I renamed it Spider Requiem. And in a moment of seeming ominous, I said, I am the heroine that Musadafaru deserves, but not the one it needs right now. So they will chase me until the end of days because I am not a hero. I am a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a lady of darkness. I am Spider Requiem. I extended my arms in a dramatic moment, but instead of being scared, my Spider-Woman companions and my Spider-Men teachers, my mother, even the very FCK-1ing Miguel O'Hara, could only express an awe. I'm not cute, I'm a full-fledged hero. I am Spider Requiem. I swear I'm a serious Spider-Sona. Why won't they take me seriously? Jin and Inko spent nearly a year on Earth 928 before returning to Earth 2014, alongside Spider-Gwen and Spider-Ninja. The watches they were given not only allowed them to travel between universes but could also be recalibrated to send them through time, so they were only missing for the weekend. They gave excuses to the Bakugos, saying they went out of town to a cabin, and when they returned on Monday, the first workday, everything was fine. Years passed, and Jin once again showed her kosei, becoming as popular as her friend Katsuki, which made her blush. At first, Katsuki teased her for blushing, but soon he became overprotective of Jin. On an ordinary day, Jin took Katsuki with her to the eastern side of Dagoba Beach, where the largest and tallest recycling objects were, like mega refrigerators and unwanted scraps. There, she showed him she could climb them, demonstrated her web that could trap objects or swing, and her immense physical strength. It's fantastic, Jin-chan, Katsuki said, smiling as he watched her climb a piece of trash or swing with the web towards one of those gigantic refrigerators. You'll be a fantastic hero, the blonde assured her with a smile. Thanks, Ka-chan, said Spider-Girl, smiling and standing vertically as if it were an everyday thing. So, what do you think about not only attacking with your explosions but using them to fly? Fly? Katsuki asked, confused, and she nodded, explaining the method, flexing the muscles in his legs and focusing the explosions on the soles of his feet. To achieve it, he took off his shoes and socks before trying it and seeing that he could indeed do it. This is very unstable. The teenage spider realized her friend was right and had an idea. Ka-chan, what if you try to stabilize it with explosions from your hands? He did so, and soon, he was flying while Jin swung behind him. This only brought them closer, with Katsuki becoming an overprotective bodyguard for the green-haired girl. Meanwhile, in class, Jin continued to excel, even with all the time she spent outside of Earth 2014, earning praise from her teachers. Unintentionally, though it became much more obvious over the years, the spider bite only caused Jin to develop even more than her classmates, which attracted many boys from school, who were threatened by Katsuki to keep Jin's purity intact until she accepted a boy into her life. Several years passed, and now both were 15, in the final days of high school. Okay, everyone's in their third year, said their teacher. It's time to think about your future. Now I'll pass you your future aspirations document. And yet, who am I kidding? He threw them into the air. You all want to be heroes. Everyone started celebrating and using their koseis. Yes, yes. Everyone wants to be heroes and has fantastic koseis, but you all know, you must not use them in class. Sensei. Don't lump us all together, Katsuki said arrogantly. Only Jin and I will become heroes. We're going to UA. That Hero Academy? The one that needs a score of 97 to get in? They say the entrance exam is the hardest nationwide. We'll be the best team in the world, you'll see, Katsuki said, smiling and hugging Jin. Explosions and arachnid kosei. Oh yeah. Hours passed, and the two returned home after buying some shakes. Halfway there, they passed under a bridge and kept talking about how wonderful it would be to go to UA. I was imagining a black sleeveless shirt with an X on the chest and building giant grenades on the forearms that will contain my sweat. By pulling a ring, I'll release a huge explosion, said Katsuki, smiling. Do you have any idea for your hero costume? Jin's eyes lit up. Oh, of course, she had her hero costume in mind. Have you seen that Yuri character from Street Fighter? She wears what looks like a tight spandex suit with a zipper that goes down to her belly button and then a black leotard on top. Katsuki thought about it, trying to remember Yuri until he remembered that character. Jin always used her much more than Poison, who wasn't even a female character. It was like violet and pink, right? Yes. I planned for it to be dark green with blue, Jin said, smiling, truly grateful for all the Street Fighter games she and Kachan used to play, otherwise, she would never have thought of it. And on the back of the suit, I want a spider. Katsuki started laughing. What are you laughing at, Kachan? She asked, now feeling insecure about her choice. Maybe her friend wanted her to be more original? She wondered as they passed under a bridge. It's a good idea, don't get me wrong, the red-eyed blonde assured, looking amused at his friend. I just hope Capcom doesn't sue you for copyright. They both burst into laughter as they passed under a bridge. Then, the manhole cover was heard crashing to the ground, and they both turned, seeing a sewage villain emerging from there. Jin. Katsuki pushed her, and he was caught by the villain. Invisibility cape size M, said the villain, surrounding Katsuki and trying to get into his body through his mouth, ears, nose, and other orifices. Don't worry, it will only hurt for 45 seconds, and then, all the pain will go away. Then he felt something, and then something else. He looked at Jin, with his middle and ring fingers touching the palms of his hands, while his thumb, index, and pinky fingers were extended, and they threw several strands of web at him, but the villain just started laughing. Oh, are you trying to be a hero? Exactly, said Jin, smiling, throwing a web to the ceiling with her left hand, and began to swing around the villain with her right hand, dodging the villain's hands, thanks to her spider sense. As she continued to throw more and more webs around his body. Wait. What? What does this mean? Asked the villain, realizing the hundreds of spider webs now wrapping around him and how tightly they were stuck to each other, that he couldn't move or penetrate it with his water form. Are you wrapping me up like a mummy? You're amazing, Jin-chan. Katsuki thought until he felt the web on his chest. Why? And then he was pulled and taken away. Sorry, Kachan, she spoke when she had him by her side, looking tenderly flushed, and he didn't understand why she was apologizing if she had just saved his life. But I panicked and took a while to form the cocoon around him, she apologized, looking embarrassed. He smiled and was about to tell her that she had nothing to worry about when they heard, "Don't worry, I'm here," said a male voice, making the two kids open their eyes wide, and big smiles appeared on their faces. The blonde hero, with two strands of hair pointing upwards, dressed in civilian clothes with a white t-shirt and green pants, just looked strangely as the villain was tied up by white ropes. Wow! Who took away my dinner? He asked as he laughed. It was her, All Might, said Katsuki, with shining eyes. Midoriya Jin or Spider-Girl, who will one day take your job? Kachan. She complained, blushing, before looking at the hero before her, the symbol of peace. All Might, my web fluid, will only last 2 hours before releasing. We need to contain him. I truly regret involving you in my villain capture, said All Might. I don't usually make beginner mistakes like this, but well. Maybe I've been a bit neglectful since I've been in strange lands, and the capture was off the grid? Anyway, thanks to you, I was able to contain the villain. He took out a 3-liter soda, drank it in less than a minute, and then put the villain in it. By the way, I need your notebooks, it's urgent. They looked at him strangely and handed them over, receiving a signature. Then they saw the hero jump and move away from there. Both teenagers ran home to tell their mothers about the magnificent experience they had just lived. On the news, footage appeared of a passerby who filmed Ino using her kosei to save Katsuki, and soon after, All Might appeared, facing critics of a girl who wasn't yet a student of a hero academy using her kosei. Are you insinuating that a person who can help others should not do so because they don't have a license? Certainly, vigilantism is frowned upon, and I don't intend to promote it. But in this case, it was a life or death situation, and I arrived late. We can't blame a girl for saving her friend's life. UA director, Nezu, came out publicly to say that he was also against vigilantism, but in Ino and Katsuki's case, it should be seen for what it was, a desperate girl trying to save her friend's life and not an attempt to be a hero. There were no police or heroes nearby, and there were only the two of them with a villain who was going to kill them. That calmed things down, although it also led reporters to Ino's house seeking an interview, which was denied. However, gifts from fans and professional heroes also arrived at Ino's house to provide some guidance, like Gunhead, Kamui Woods, or Crazy Bird. 10 months passed until the big moment in the spring. It was the time when hero academies held the entrance exam. Midoriya Jin and Bakugo Katsuki, along with many more young people from around Japan, were entering the gates of UA Academy, all with small bags in their hands containing gym clothes, and they were now heading towards an auditorium. When everyone was seated, a blonde hero with hair raised in a long crest stood before them. "Welcome to the show, everyone. Please, everyone, say hey." No one said anything. Tough crowd. Anyway, let's get started. The lights dimmed, and the silhouette of a city was projected. You'll go to fictional cities within the campus and will have to use your kosais to destroy enemy robots, ranging from 1 point to 3, and only those who get the most points will pass the exam. Someone stood up. "Excuse me. Can I ask something?" "Go ahead, examinee number 4062. In this brochure they've given us, it says there are 4 types of villains. If this is a printing error, then UA should be ashamed of making such a mistake." "Thank you, examinee number 4062. The 4th type of villain is called 0 Point, it's a giant robot from which you must escape. If there are many people gathered in one place, then it will become anxious to attack them," the hero explained. "With that said, head to the examination fields with your identifications." Examination field 01. A muscular boy looked amazed at the training field before his eyes. How can something like this exist on campus? UA is the best. Jin looked around, finding that everyone seemed very calm. That surprised the arachnid teenager. "You can do this, Jin. You've been training with several of the greatest heroes of the Spider-Verse to get to this point." She opened her eyes when she heard something. It was the gates opening. "What are you waiting for?" asked Present Mike, seeing that no one was moving. "There's no countdown in a real battle, this isn't a race, go, go, go." Everyone started running. Jin jumped and used her web to cling to a building and swing quickly. She saw a robot villain and dove down on it. She knew how to concentrate her strength to punch it with a super strength fist, destroying it. 1 point. 2 more appeared. Hero, destroy. She threw very powerful punches to destroy them. 6 points. She saw a 4th robot running towards an examinee. She threw her webs to the ground, and the caterpillar wheel stuck there, allowing her to run towards the robot and destroy it. 3 more points. 9. In a dark room lit only by the security camera screens, the teachers were gathered. Intuition, the ability to understand the situation quickly and precisely, said Director Furry, who was a sort of mouse/bear. Agility, enter the battle fearlessly and swiftly. Judgment, maintain calm and composure. And of course, fighting prowess. We can measure their levels with the point system, but let's check their mood. The director pressed a button. Everything started shaking, the ground split open, and a giant robot, taller than a building, emerged. Destroy heroes. Is that 0 points? UA is crazy. Run for your lives. Everyone started running, including Jin, whose spider sense had gone wild. Help. Please, someone said. Jin turned his head and saw a girl amidst rubble with 0 points heading towards her. Using his webs, he quickly approached and, using his enhanced strength, began clearing the debris. The earth trembled, the robot drew closer. Jin then backed off a bit and webbed the debris, crushing the girl, and hurled them at the robot's head, but it didn't stop. He jumped and started climbing it until he reached its head, landing punches until it finally toppled. Are you okay? She is, shouted the glasses-wearing boy, all serious and rule-abiding. He and the brunette girl watched the girl descend. The boy was the first to speak. I want to formally apologize to you. That confused the green-haired girl. It seemed like he spoke a bit in the auditorium, though not enough to be annoying to others. You just acted like a true hero, while I just stood still. The green-haired girl smiled. I'm Midoriya Jin. Nice to meet you. I'm Ida Tenya, the glasses-wearing boy said, looking at the brown-haired girl. And you are? The brunette blushed. I'm Uraka Ochako. Nice to meet you both. And thank you for saving me, Midoriya-san. She kissed him on the cheek, causing the green-haired girl to blush. Then, a short elderly woman dressed as a nurse appeared. It was Recovery Girl, who healed several people with kisses that transmitted healing energy. A week later, envelopes arrived with the UA symbol, containing holographic discs from UA, where Ino and Katsuki managed to get into the hero department, in Class 1A. Along with the envelope and holographic disc was a sheet of paper, asking to draw the hero costume with whatever they wished to add, which they sent back to be manufactured by a highly qualified textile company specialized in hero gear, affiliated with UA. Since both teenagers managed to enter the academy, they had a dinner where both families participated, and at the young people's school, everyone cheered for them for getting into UA. She received messages of pride from her spider friends, amazing her and causing a great blush. After 2 weeks, at the beginning of spring, it was time to enter UA and start classes. When you put someone down, you never think they'll rise up and fight back. You'd have to be pretty dumb to forget that anger and a thirst for revenge have guided humanity since the beginning. Now, what happens when you make a group feel belittled? What will happen when within that same minority, there are people smart enough to mount an effective counterattack? Every Spider-Man needs their villains, and Jin was no exception. Whether it's a green goblin or a hobgoblin, a Dr. Octopus, a vulture, a lizard, a rhino, or a scorpion. Knowing what was coming for her, she was being trained to the max before she entered UA, but that time has passed. It was useful, but more than one Spider-Sona wanted to keep the sweet girl safe within the walls of Earth 928's main building. And currently, the superhero community of Earth 2014 was witnessing an increase in illegal trafficking, selling, and carrying of weapons. Much more than in the last war, which happened almost 2,000 years ago. Much more than just typical weapons like pistols, shotguns, and AK-47 assault rifles. They were facing high-end vehicles or hovercrafts, disguised villains who were just Mukasais armed with all sorts of gadgets and belts with small bottles containing all kinds of chemicals to harm heroes. No one could have expected the appearance of these Mukasai villains. Neither the Public Security Commission nor, much less, the Office of the Proper Use of Kosei could make sense of where these high-tech armed villains came from. But they knew they had to be stopped as soon as possible. But it wasn't just the Mukasai, because a young, evil man with grayish-blue hair and red eyes approached a teenager in high school, and with just his words, he could convince him. He knew the boy had been a bully in school, he knew he had bullied that girl who kept appearing in the news. He knew perfectly well that girl had all the potential to be the next symbol of peace. And he was willing to defeat the current symbol of peace and the future one, whether it was this girl or another student from a hero academy. And then, he would take control of the criminal underworld and from there, have control over everything. The first step for this villain to achieve his goal was achieved through many calls, through many police and scientist home raids, until he found the location of the largest research complex on Earth, called Island I, and it was an artificial moving island, inhabited by more than 10,000 scientists conducting research on Kosais. It was created to gather the world's best researchers in a secure place where their combined talents could advance their studies. There are several measures to prevent criminal incidents. The island's security system is on par with Tartarus prison. Many of its structures are built more resistant than bomb shelters, and scientists cannot leave the island to ensure confidentiality. The headquarters of the famous I-Expo, a citywide event showcasing all the technological advancements of the city. Professional heroes are invited by the event sponsors, and people are allowed to use their powers in public. Furthermore, the island boasts several notable places, such as the Central Tower of over 200 floors, an airport being the only entry option to the island, a museum showcasing different artifacts to the public, most of which are owned by David Shield, and an academy where it is said the world's best scientists are trained. But he would have a way to make them reveal the truth, if he kidnapped their families, forcing them to hand over their creations, and then he would use this to attract the right people to his circle. Among those right people he wanted on his criminal side, in his group, was this young bullying Mukasai, to whom it was enough to show a picture of Jin. She had been believed to be a Mukasai, but it turned out she did get a Kosei. That was more than enough to fill him with hatred and then bring him to his side, giving him a team consisting of grenades and a hovercraft. He did the same with several teenagers or adults who were filled with hatred towards Kosei users, to whom he would later grant high-tech weaponry and technology. Each and every one of them would be his own evil UA, and they would attack the original, so they could destroy them from within, outwards, based on social pressure. The cybersecurity of certain hospitals was so poor that even a non-hacker like him could do this with ease and get what he wanted: files of Mukasai children or Kosei user children, who would be wrongly labeled as Mukasei, and with the latter, he only needed the right words to attract them to his side. The League of Villains would be the greatest of all criminal clans in Japan. Gathering the right people, keeping an eye on the most productive and creative scientists and engineers, then he would kidnap their families and force them to create for him and for all his new men. To kill All Might, to end all those happy faces, with their sense of security and well-being, as long as the symbol of peace existed. Dot. Dot. That boy with long fingers felt enormous hatred towards Jin. Thanks to God's Eye, whose real name was Kumoni Hitomi, a hacker of his age, he could see that indeed, Midoriya Jin possessed a kosei. A kosei that made her fast, strong, capable of climbing walls with the tips of her fingers, capable of throwing a white rope to swing. Both her and that idiot Bakugo were going to pay. Jin and Katsuki had mocked both of them. They were childhood friends, after all. He was extended fingers, he didn't need attachments, he didn't need them, but his companions did. They were, Potosaurus, who was a boy with a very long neck, to whom the head of the Hebi clan of the Yakuza, Mitsuru Yamamoto, gave a hovercraft, and Gargoyle, because demon wings sounded much less intimidating than you might think, they gave him robotic arms that you wore around your waist, so he could attack with them. They were going to beat them both up. Extended fingers, Potosaurus, God's Eye, and Gargoyle, would be the Four Terribles. But they weren't the only young criminals, because adult Mukasei in very bad economic situations agreed to assist the League of Villains as foot soldiers. Soon, the world would know what pain and fear were when he, Shigaraki Tomura, Kurogiri, and the Four Terribles, killed All Might in the next generation of UA. Jin went to Earth 928 in her Spider Requiem suit, swinging directly to the control tower where Miguel awaited her, leaving a window open. "Thanks for coming so soon, sweetheart," said Miguel, smiling. "What's up?" asked the teenager, seriously. Miguel, unmasked, smiled at her. "Before that, did the training work?" Jin gave a thumbs up and handed him the hologram. "Welcome, Midoriya Shoujo, this is your Hero Academy. It looks like Captain America from the 20th century, you know?" But without the shield, Jin couldn't help but laugh, while Miguel smiled. She and everyone close to Miguel knew he considered her like a daughter, speaking of Steve Rogers, specifically. Not Isaiah Bradley, William Naisland, John Walker, who, by the way, we should lock up in one of our prisons, as if he were just another anomaly, Bucky Barnes, or anyone else. "So, have you sent the specifications for your heroine suit yet?" "I did," she said, smiling. "Good, give them to me along with the design," he ordered, making her raise an eyebrow, but Miguel hadn't finished speaking. "Let some of the best handle your other suit. Your legal suit on Earth 2014, the one you'll wear at the Academy. Spider Taylor has my measurements. As for the design..." She rummaged in a pocket and handed it to him. "It's this one. You'll look like some kind of sexy villain if you wear this, babe," joked Miguel, and Jin burst into laughter. "Tarantula? Heartbreaking girl?" Both laughed, and Jin replied, "One doesn't seem very intimidating, and it's pronounced the same in English and Spanish, and the second one is too long, Miguel." "It will be made, just like mine," informed Miguel, taking the matter of making the girl's suit very seriously. Considering her Miles replacement and someone he considered like a daughter, he approached his computer and entered the data he was saying. "And, will you use unstable molecules?" Jin looked at her fatherly figure from top to bottom. "Aren't you, theoretically, naked under the suit?" "We'll coat the torso with vibranium, the mask will be retractable, we'll use the Earth 42 Marauder's mask as a base, and made of adamantium, along with vibranium bracelets, which will protect you from bullets, sword cuts, or punches. They'll be web shooter bracelets of solid light like mine." "Why the web shooter bracelets?" she asked gratefully but also confused, as she had organic webbing. Although she suspected Miguel wasn't listening to her. "I've seen Peter from Earth 1006 lose his powers once," explained Miguel, "when his emotions confuse him. When he can't balance his personal life and his heroic life. If you lose your powers, then you still have the bracelets and the claws on the gloves that I'm having made for you, for when you need to climb." Jin blushed at Miguel's care. "For now, go home, rest, go to school. The suit will be ready sooner than you think." "Yes, sir," she said smiling and left the tower, using the door, while hopping on one foot and dancing a bit, celebrating. "So, make her the bracelets, make her the suit, intercept the one they'll make for her on Earth 2014 and replace it with the new one," Miguel thought aloud, counting on his fingers. "Easy. Although, considering that, in her second year, she'll earn her provisional hero license. Maybe I can achieve some sort of supervised surveillance. Supervised by some hero. He thought and sighed, as he ran his hand over his face and suffered an auditory schizophrenic episode, hearing his daughter Sarah referring to Jin as her sister. He began typing on his computer the things he needed for Jin's new suit and, looking at the drawings she made, created a 3D model with the colors she indicated. I can't believe I'm doing this. An alarm went off. He set aside the project and opened another screen, grumbling as he activated the microphones. Attention! The heirs are attacking Earth 70,105. Earth 70,105. A Spider-Man with red lenses and whose main color is black, while the color of his torso, gloves, and boots is gray, was fighting several enemies at once, without being affected by the number. Even when fighting 4 enemies at the same time. Well, let's do this once again. My name is Bruce Banner, also known as Spider-Man. I am a nuclear physicist working for the government agency SHIELD. After being bitten by a spider irradiated with gamma energy, I gained spider powers and became Spider-Man. In front of the enemies, a muscular man, gray skin, and red eyes. He was Solus, patriarch of the heirs, hunters of Spider-Men across the multiverse. Next to him, a woman, with the same red eyes, long blonde hair. She was Bora, Solus' wife. And 2 teenagers, Brix and Damus. The 4 of them were a new variant of a group called the Heirs, originating from Earth 001, and their life mission was to steal the life force of all existing arachnid-powered users. Spider-Widow was the first to attack, tying the necks of the 2 teenagers with webs, allowing Spider-Woman, Earth 1168, the African-American character who was pregnant and across the Spider-Verse, to attack them with kicks. Oh yeah, it's better without having the baby in the belly, celebrated Spider-Woman. I hope you'll be very happy taking care of your child, said Spider-Gwen and Spider-Widow. Jin passed her companions by, tackling Damus, tying him up with her webs, throwing one at his face, and giving him a voltage punch to the chest, sending him flying. Spider-Gwen tied up Brix with her webs, ran towards her, grabbed her shoulder, spun around it, and kneed her in the face, sending Brix towards Spider-Woman, who tackled her from behind before performing a suplex on her. Spider-Man, 70,105, faced Solus, blocking Solus' punch attempts with his arms and using them as leverage to hit him in the back. When the patriarch of the heirs stood up, Spider-Man 2099 kicked Solus in the face with both feet, stealing that enemy. Meanwhile, 70,105 faced Bora, who was damn fast, throwing attacks with her open hand, and thanks to her claws, she could do a lot of damage. 2099 kicked Solus directly in the face and then plunged his claws into his abdomen, making him scream before punching him in the face. Solus recovered and went after 2099, being taken advantage of by 70,105 to tie his shoulder with webs, and as the last thing Solus expected was to be grabbed by the arm, he dislocated it, being taken advantage of by 70,105 to attract him with his strength and send him crashing into a tree. Damus went after Spider-Widow, who dodged him, touched his chest, enclosing him in a cloud of poison, causing him to fall to the ground with green skin. 2 weeks later, Miguel traveled to Earth 2014, went to the biggest and most famous hero item creation company and, rummaging through the files, found what he was looking for. They were the ones in charge of making clothes and items for UA. He searched a bit and found the one who would be in charge of designing Jin's suit. Using a dart, he put him to sleep, made him breathe a neurotoxin, and whispered in his ear a story that he had designed that suit for Midoriya Jin and placed the suit in the box. 2 months passed, until spring. Jin was in front of the mirror in her room, dressed in the UA Academy uniform, smiling at her reflection. A short-sleeved shirt, which wasn't very helpful, considering how much her chest had developed, a short tie that made her look adorable, her short green hair, and her green skirt. She grabbed her briefcase and left her room, going downstairs, where her mother hugged her. Inko smiled at her daughter, proud of her achievements and holding a small package in her hands. Miguel sent this to you, dear. Curious, he didn't let me know, said Jin, taking the package and opening it. She took out the note and forced a smile, not a look of amazement. It was her own gizmo, multiversal watch. She read it mentally. Dear Jin, you are the daughter I once lost. I have raised you in the best way I could and I am sure you will achieve great things, both as Spider-Girl, Earth 2014, and as Spider-Requiem, as you will be known multiversally. The blue button on your gizmo will deploy millions of nanobots, directly extracted from the company of the supervillain, the Maker from Earth 1610. These nanobots will work in harmony to deploy your spider suit of Spider-Requiem and you will scan the Spider-Girl with the yellow button and it will be stored and deployed with the green one. Enjoy it, my girl. Then she looked at her mother, smiling at her, Without showing her the note, "You know Okasan, Miguel's usual, he hopes I'll do well, that I'll show this world what Spider-Girl can do, and he treats me like his daughter. Miguel and I, as well as all the Spider-Men of the multiverse, we know you'll do very well. And we have more than enough reasons to be proud. Go then, my love. Show UA what you've accomplished," Inko said smiling, kissing her daughter on the cheek and watching her go to UA, calmly, walking without haste and just to catch the train, because her daughter knew very well that she would now attend an academy where she would be taught to use her powers differently than the Spider-Men did. Jin arrived at UA after getting off at the correct train station, climbed the stairs from the underground, turned right, and saw the walls of UA. She entered through the door, looking for her classroom. Every year, 1 out of 300 examinees make it. Only 36 would pass and be divided between classes A and B. So there will be 18 per classroom, she thought incredulously as she finally reached door 1A. Upon entering, she was in for a big surprise. Bakugo and that stuck-up guy? What rotten luck. She thought, sighing, realizing she was the last one to arrive. Sighing again, she went to sit in a chair, blushing. "Please, get your feet off the desk," demanded the bespectacled stretched-out guy to Bakugo. "You're showing great disrespect to everyone who sat here before." "What school are you from?" asked Katsuki nonchalantly. "You're too stiff." "I'm Tenya Ida from Same." "I'm Katsuki Bakugo from Orudera." He nodded towards him and lowered his feet, but crossed his legs as he raised a hand and released tiny explosions. "My quirk is explosion, the sweat on my palm is nitroglycerin, and then I'll secrete oxidizing sweat to make it explode. My quirk is engine, I have these exhaust pipes on my calves that allow me to go at great speeds," said Tenya, and Katsuki nodded. Katsuki looked to his right and allowed himself to smile. "Finally, you made it. I was worried you wouldn't make it." "Hi Kachan," she said smiling as she walked to a chair. "I'm Midoriya Jin, also from Orudera. And my quirk is Web Warrior." "If you came here to make friends, you can leave," said a voice, belonging to a man with long black hair down to his shoulders, wearing a long-sleeved black shirt and pants of the same color. He put his hand into a sleeping bag and pulled out many curious suits. "Put on one of these PE suits and head to the stadium downstairs." "Quirk comprehension test?" asked all the students. "But what about the welcome ceremony or the meeting with the counselor?" asked Ochako. "If you're going to be heroes, you don't have time for that kind of thing," said their teacher, tossing a ball to Bakugo. "Stand on the softball launcher and use your quirk, Bakugo." "Understood," said the blonde, standing where he was told and sending off an explosion once the ball was no longer in contact with his hand. Die. 702.5. "We can use our quirks," said a muscular boy with brown hair and big lips. "This will be very fun," said a brown-haired girl. "Fun? Natural disasters, terrorist attacks, will you maintain this attitude for 3 years?" he asked, his students becoming serious. "Let's make it really fun, the one who finishes last will be labeled as hopeless and expelled immediately." "But it's the first day," complained a girl with pink hair and skin, named Mina. "Then give it your all," said Aizawa. "Welcome to UA, it's time for you to go plus ultra." Katsuki and Jin would participate in the 50-meter race. And despite Katsuki using his explosive quirk, winning the race, everyone, even their teacher, saw that Jin was quite faster than an average marathon runner, perhaps even surpassing the base speed of track medalist Usain Bolt, proving that was probably her quirk. "As fast as an Olympic athlete, huh?" said Katsuki smiling to his friend, nudging her with his elbow. She blushed and smiled. "In the throwing test, use a web, spin the ball around and throw it." The brown-haired girl, who seemed so calm, threw the ball after snatching its weight. Their teacher showed the infinity symbol. With the ball test, Jin attached her organic web to the ball, spun it around unleashing her super strength and sent it flying into the distance. "Impressive, Midoriya, 705.9. Keep going. There are several tests ahead." Several tests later. At the end of that physical and quirk test, Aizawa told them, "You'll find your curriculum tests in the classroom, at the end of the day. Go to classes, and by the way, the expulsion thing was a joke. I wanted you to give it your all." After classes, everyone went home. "Hello, Midoriya-san, Bakugo-san," said Tenya appearing. "Are you going to the station?" asked someone. It was the brown-haired girl, along with a girl with violet hair, whose earlobes were headphone jacks. "Wait for us, please." "Runner, floaty girl, and earlobes," greeted Bakugo, with a nod. Jin sighed and ran her hand over her face, somewhat tired of putting up with Bakugo giving nicknames to everyone. Yet, she was already very accustomed to this, so she had a slight smile on her face. I would appreciate it if you stopped giving our classmates nicknames, Kachan. Bakugo chuckled. We attended Orudora, Spider, grunted Bakugo, then looked at the other three and sighed as they began to walk together. She and I were the Explosive King and the Spider Queen of Orudora. Our quirks were so outstanding that I could insult anyone and they would still worship the ground I walked on. And how are we supposed to earn your respect then? Asked the girl with violet hair. Show that you'll be real heroes and not just sycophantic idiots, like those we lived with for 3 whole years, who made me sick and probably turned some into villains, Bakugo warned them. In Toby's Peter, he lost his powers in Spider-Man 2 because he couldn't keep his emotions and his 2 lives separate. A new school day began, and the last thing Katsuki and Jin expected when they arrived at UA was to find the entrance blocked by so many reporters. Please let All Might out, shouted one reporter. All Might isn't working today, said Aizawa, trying to push the reporters back. Please, students need to get to their classrooms. Make way for them to enter. Just one question and we'll leave, said the reporter. You just want me to answer one question, and then another, and so on, Aizawa sighed, turning away. Go away. Oh no, Uraka exclaimed, seeing the crowd of reporters. How are we supposed to get through? Asked Kyoka, feeling overwhelmed. This was too much for teenagers in their first year. I'll handle it, said Bakugo. Jin smiled and covered Kyoka's ears. Ochako looked puzzled and confused, but followed suit and covered her ears. Move aside, you lot of extras. Bakugo shouted, releasing a powerful explosion. The reporters scattered, except for one crazy reporter. Izu. Jin rubbed her face. Not willing to endure this at this hour of the morning, she clapped her hands, with Kyoka and Ochako following suit, not knowing why. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the news. My name is Todoroki Hinata, and I'm going to reveal what my father has kept secret for so long. Kyoka and Ochako looked at each other, unsure of what Jin was doing or why she was inventing another version of herself. My father, Endeavor, he's the most loved son out of All Might's 150 grandchildren. Kyoka and Ochako's eyes widened, and their brains shut down, along with all the reporters, allowing Jin to grab the 2 girls by the waist and jump to enter the academy. The 1A students had several normal classes until the most awaited hour arrived. I am, said a voice everyone recognized. Walking in through the door, like a normal person. It's All Might, exclaimed all the students, delighted. Is he wearing his Silver Age suit, right? Asked Eijiro. This is the heroics class, explained the blonde hero with 2 tufts pointing skyward in a V shape, dressed in a red suit with tiny white details and some circles on the chest, putting a hand on his back. Here, you'll learn all the basics to be heroes, and today will be combat training, he declared, showing a card with the word battle, then pressed a button and the wall began to move, revealing many shelves. These are your suits, tailor-made according to your specifications. After changing, head to the Gamma Battle Center. Yes, sir. They all said. A few minutes later, the hero was waiting for the students. When he saw her appear, his memories surfaced. Memory. All Might lived in a very humble home for being the symbol of peace and the highest paid person in the country, but that's how he liked it. Living without complications, without reporters, he appreciated being able to deactivate one for all, so he could go to the corner store and buy whatever he wanted without people, reporters, and other heroes crowding around. But the last thing he expected was a visit from the heroes Spider Ninja and Spider Gwen. Welcome, please come in, the hero asked. They did, and were taken to the dining table. What brings you here? Asked the symbol of peace as he went to prepare some tea. They looked at each other. Is something wrong? Not exactly, said Spider Gwen, not knowing how to start the conversation. This is very serious and important, All Might, said Spider Ninja, playing with his Dismo. The symbol of peace raised an eyebrow at the contradictory words of both spider people. But it'll be easier for you to believe us if you can see it. All Might handed them their teacups, which all 3 drank, and a portal opened behind the arachnid heroes. Spider Gwen quickly handed him some blue shoes. Put these on, please. Their soles are anti-gravitational and will be useful where we're going. The 3 jumped, and soon All Might found himself upside down in an elevator until the door opened, revealing hundreds of people with the spider symbol on their chests or backs. Where are we? Asked the hero, looking around at all the variants of these 2 heroes he knew. Welcome to the Spider-Man Society reception, explained Spider Ninja. We need you to talk to our boss. He's sort of Let's say, Midoriya, Jin's adoptive father. Are all of them heroes? Asked All Might amazed, looking around. They are, said Spider Ninja, smiling beneath the mask. Each and every one of us comes from other universes. Suddenly, All Might twitched and glitched out. Here you go, the arachnid hero handed him an armband. So you won't do that. When he faced Spider-Man 2099, he revealed his identity as Miguel O'Hara, and All Might knew he was showing great trust. The arachnid hero spoke about his universe. They talked about Jin's true condition as a Mukasei, until they intervened and had a radioactive spider bite her, giving her spider DNA and powers. Spider-Man 2099 spoke about the web of life and destiny. About how Jin would have many enemies, many of them mere Mukasei, who were arming themselves for a civil war across the planet. I'll trust you, All Might, said Miguel, receiving a nod from the hero, although some versions of you don't seem very trustworthy to me. He typed something, and a vision appeared. This is, without our intervention. He showed how a 15-year-old Jin was saved by All Might from a mud villain, how she clung to his leg, how All Might lost his condition and talked to her about her injury, how the hero shattered Jin's dreams, leading her to suicide. No, shouted All Might, eyes wide open, taking a step forward, seeing how he would cause the suicide of an innocent girl. Can you see why we intervened? Asked Miguel. Each of these universes has a Spider-Man. When one dies, another appears. The Spider Ninja you know died, and a boy named Miles Morales appeared to replace him. And I didn't accept this boy because the spider that bit him, the origin of his powers, wasn't from his home Earth, but was brought by a hadron collider. The boy sacrificed himself for everyone and saved us. The entire multiverse. When Earth 2014 appeared, there was no Spider-Man. I looked at his story from the Big Bang until Earth was destroyed, and no Spider-Man ever appeared. Without an arachnid totem, your world would be destroyed before anyone could act. He extended his hand and showed a screen. So I searched throughout human history. From the first founder of a village, whom I baptized as Cain, to the last man, Corneus, in the 75th century, 55, but in your universe, there was never, not a single spider-sona, and that was unusual because it wouldn't appear on our radars without that reason. So I myself chose Jin to be the spider-sona who would save your universe. End of memory. Jin had her hair tied up in a high ponytail and was one of the first to come out, along with Jiro Kyoka. Jin wore a tight suit, with a collar, that was mainly dark green with black parts and cyan details. In material, it seemed to be latex or spandex. And it seemed to be composed of 2 layers, as underneath this suit, she wore what seemed to be a kind of black leotard. The suit had a zipper, which was lowered just above the navel, and if it weren't for the leotard underneath, it would have a neckline comparable to Momo Yaoyorozu's, not to mention that both had very similar chest cups. The suit was mainly dark green, except for the area of the armpits, the insides of her thighs, the back of her forearms and arms, where it was a grayish black. Other details were of a neon cyan blue, which was present in the form of lines running from the lower part of her back, her huge and wonderful rear, and she was only 15 years old, the sides of her thighs and legs. On the back, it had the design of a cyan-colored spider on the dark green. Although the suit was long-sleeved, it didn't have fingers and they were exposed, with some kind of cyan-colored protectors on the back of her hands. Quickly, she put on a green mask with no racial features, which only had a pair of huge eyes outlined in black and 2 large white visors. When you search Yuri Street Fighter on Google Images, it's the second image that appears, and I guess the 7th too, but with green, black, and cyan colors. All of you look great, young ones, said All Might, noticing how the Spider-Girl glanced sideways at Jiro Kyoka, a black leather jacket, a long salmon-colored shirt, black pants, and boots with music players integrated into their shafts. She also has 2 small triangular red paint marks just below her eyes, a smooth black choker, and fingerless white gloves. What we're going to do here is hero and villain training. So, I'll draw your names from this central box, and you'll form teams in pairs and be assigned a letter. So, Team A will be. After randomly drawing names and assigning them a letter, they began, with All Might returning the balls with letters inside the hero and villain boxes. Team A will be heroes and Team D will be villains. So, Midoriya and Jiro, you must go inside the building, take the fake bomb, and hide it as best you can. Heroes Ida and Bakugo win if they touch the bomb or catch the villains. Villains win if the heroes don't touch the bomb. Jin and Kyoka entered, took the papier-mâché bomb, and brought it to the roof, thanks to Jin's ability to climb walls. Soon, the heroes entered, and Katsuki's explosions could be heard clearly. Jin felt her enemies approaching and threw her webs, but her eyes widened when she saw they were neon/blue cyan. Crap, these are Miguel Otosan's fake webs, she exclaimed, so they couldn't climb to the second floor. They're coming so fast, they won't be able to stop and will be caught by my neon webs. Kyoka couldn't help but smile. I'm amazed by your team. But I'm not going to tell you that you'll do it all by yourself. Katsuki yelled as he got stuck to the web. Damn it, Jin, what is this? Hold on, Bakugo-san, I'm coming, said Ida, his engines at full speed. Wait, no. Katsuki tried to warn, but Ida literally ran him over, leaving Katsuki even more stuck to the threads, and Ida had to move away from him. I'm so sorry, Bakugo-san. Apologized Ida, feeling guilty for hurting his blonde friend, seeing him all bruised. I can't get unstuck. My hands are trapped. I can't get off of this thing. Grumbled Katsuki, trying to break free. My stellar web network is just one of the many things I acquired thanks to the Mentadian conglomerate Jin invented. What are you talking about, Jin? Asked Katsuki confusedly. Jin let out a horrible evil laugh. When that bomb explodes, hundreds of parasitic creatures from the planet Mentadio will be released. Only the two of us have these suits that will make us invisible. All Japanese, and foreigners, will be hosts to the creatures and give birth to an even more powerful race. She unleashed another terrible evil laugh, accompanied by Kyoka's laughter. It's my turn, said Kyoka, smiling, connecting the lobes of her ears to her forearms and unleashing a sound wave that hit their enemies, sending Ida flying, while Katsuki finally broke free, but remained stuck to the neon web. I love the technology of Universe 928. Thanks, Miguel, thought Jin as she walked towards the stairs. An explosion was heard, Bakugo flew towards them, but... Wait, Bakugo-kun. Why are you stuck, engine legs? Growled Bakugo, now more angry. My calves and palms are stuck to this strange web. Grunted Ida. Seeing that the heroes can't move, the villains win, said All Might. I hope that if Ida Shonen and Midoriya Shoujo face off in the sports festival, Ida Shonen gets the chance to shine. No. Anakin. I mean, Ida shouted. We won in 2 minutes, and thanks to your strategy, Midoriya-san, said Kyoka incredulously, giving Jin a bear hug. We did it, said Jin, grateful for the mask because she was very flushed from the hug. Earth 928. Miguel O'Hara smiled as he watched his little one's victory, munching on some popcorn and laughing at the explosive boy and the speedy boy. Oh my, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Someone knocked on the door, ruining his moment. What? The Spider-Man from Universe 1116 just returned and has been seriously injured by the Inheritors, said Lila, in her usual holographic form. Miguel looked at her in disbelief.